Saturday, July 28th. Saturday, July 28th, 2001, and we are continuing with the interview with Jean and Nathaniel. Nathaniel, can you remember the last question?
Well, I think we were talking about what impact does the Branch family have on my personal development, spiritual development.
Yes.
As I was saying earlier, that Reverend Johnson, my mother's father, had a great influence on my father's life, and that was from the standpoint of spiritual, ministerial aspect, but also doing service and helping others and reaching out to others. And that's carried over into my life and to my sister's life. We've both been very active, not only in our profession, but also in community activities, in addition to church, but communities. For instance, I've served on several YMCA boards of directors, managers as they call it, served with the Boys Club programs as on their boards. I've served in many capacities with United Negro College Fund, a big advocate and push for that. Also, I've served with my fraternity organization, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity, on several aspects dealing with leadership development, which we have established workshops for high school students on leadership skills. And in fact, I started the first one, and it's been going. We're going into our 25th year this coming spring. It's our 25th anniversary. And Meryl's worked very closely with me, for she handles the speech part of it for public speaking and many aspects dealing with that. But it's been one of service and helping others, and I've carried that on throughout my career in reaching out to others. And the importance is to serve. It's not what you get, but what you can give to others.
Thank you. Two final questions for each of you. What to you is your greatest personal satisfaction? And the final question, what can you give us as your personal motto or your personal creed? Jean?
My greatest satisfaction through my growth and development is my being able to help my family, because that was the strength from which I grew, and my to reach out into my community and serve as I'm asked, and also with my church that I've been able to do some things for them to bring to light. I feel like I've really been blessed with the richness of not only just meeting persons of status, persons of various walks, but to be able to just be a person of my own.
Greatest personal.
You asked that question about what greatest personal satisfaction. I've had several that I would consider great, and they're all interrelated. One is my children and their way that they have grown and developed and what they're doing, because they all have gone into areas where they have rendered service. And my two sons, one is in the deacon board at church, and one just recently come on the trustee board. And Nikki is always, wherever she's going, she loves to help people. She reaches out and gives. She will give a television set away to someone she thinks has a need, or give her a bicycle away that she spends time doing. But she's a loving, caring, and giving. In fact, I was talking to her recently about a patient that she's working with in Providence, and I told her she had to be careful about her physician-patient relationship, that you can't go overboard and trying to get too close to the family. You have to kind of stay a distance from them. But another satisfaction I've had from my former students, I did something that I don't know if any other principal has done. One time I was running 3 high schools at the same time, where we merged Smith High School and Roosevelt High School in Atlanta to become a new high school called Southside High School, which Nikki was a graduate of. And I was really moving between 3 schools at one time, and I got great satisfaction from that. But that experience has had several things that I got great satisfaction from. I've run across students who stop me and tell me something. I used to meet with my students by grade level, sharing the Hawk philosophy with them, as they would call it. And one boy stopped me about 2 years ago. I was in a fast food restaurant. He said, "Mr. Hawk, I want you to come outside and meet my girlfriend." And I had forgotten about this experience. He said, he said, I want you to meet my high school principal who suspended me from school for slapping my girlfriend because he told us that you must respect women at all times and that you must carry it out. So she said, I want to thank you because he's been very respectful to me. And then I had another one to stop me about in the airport about a week ago. He says, Mr. Hawk, I want you to know I'm very successful now. I don't do drugs. I don't neglect my family, and I take care of my wife and children. He said, always remember what you told us about that. So I get great satisfaction to hear kids come back and tell you that they're grown and going about the business. That shows the kind of impact the impact you have on. And several have come back talking about where they've gone to school and what they're doing because of the encouragement that we gave to them.
So your impact is far-reaching.
And that is the value and the wealth that we get out of life. You don't get it all the time in monetariness. But when somebody can come back to you and you meet them in an obscure place and they tell you that they thank you for what you did for them or how you just, it might not be what you gave, it could be just a word. And it's just like what Ned said. They stop you on the street. They holler at you where they see you. Do you remember me? You know, you may not even.
So yeah.
Sometimes you don't realize how
That's
far
right.
your reach is.
That's right.
All right, your personal motto.
My personal motto would be, if I could help someone as I pass along this way, let me do what I can. That's my personal motto. It's not, we don't always get what we want. We get what God give us. And it's not always that we can see it. It's like, you don't know whether you're doing it for that person at that time or at that moment. But as time moves on, that's what it's all about.
Personal.
My personal motto, I think I've kind of shared it as we've gone along, is really reaching out and helping others, but also be a role model for others to follow. Let them know the joys have to get from love and understanding one another, and from the spiritual aspect that you get from knowing God, but we share with others.
Okay. Jean, Nathaniel, thank you very much.
Well, thank you so very much for this opportunity.
Thank you.
Okay.
Branch Family Reunion Interviews. This is Saturday, July 28th, 2001. Branch Family Reunion in Lake Lanier, Georgia. And first I'd like to have you to introduce yourselves, full names, and where you live.
My name is Dolly Pannell, and I live at 7634 Fallswood Way in Lorton, Virginia, the suburbs of Washington, D.C.
My name is Evelyn Goldsboro Brathwaite. I live at 810 Green Street, Atlantic City, New Jersey.
Okay. And you are related to the Branch family. What is your connection with the Branch family?
Well, I am married to James Pannell, and his relationship in reference to the Branch family is by Julia Branch.
I am the great-granddaughter of Julia.
Great-granddaughter of
Branch.
Julia. Okay,
Through Keziah, my grandmother. Wilhelmina was Keziah's daughter, which was my mother.
Okay. Okay. So, through the women, all the way.
Yeah, through the women all the way.
Okay, I like that. Do you have any siblings? Do you have any brothers and sisters?
I had two brothers, both deceased.
Okay. Their names were?
One was Clarence Jr. and William Goldsboro.
Okay. Were they older or younger?
They were older.
They were older. Okay. And children? For both of you?
I have three children.
Okay.
Gloria Brathwaite Pemberton is my oldest. She's 56.
Speak up a little bit.
Okay. Brenda Brathwaite, number 2 child, and she always said, Mom, mother 2 childs, call her. And Louis Anthony Brathwaite, That's my 3 kids.
Okay. Dolly?
I don't have
Children?
any children.
Okay. I want to take you back to your early childhood. Take you back in time. And I'd like to know, what are your greatest personal memories as a branch family, of branch family members, or just general, what it was like when you were a child?
What sticks in my mind when I was really young, and seems like the 2 sisters, Aunt Gwen, she's my mother's youngest sister, and we all lived in the same house. How we slept in a 3-bedroom house, I do not know. But I can remember during Christmas time, my Aunt Mad, who taught in Washington, would come and visit. My grandfather lived with us, and I can remember at Christmas, he would build his fireplace and get this crepe paper that looked like bricks
Okay.
and put on it. And back in those days, kids wore those long brown stockings, and we used to hang them and we'd go to bed, and we swear he would build the fireplace after we went to bed. So we swore this Santa Claus brought the fireplace, hung the stockings, and what we got, you got an apple and an orange and the candy cane. And we thought we were just rich.
And where was this?
In Atlantic City.
This is in Atlantic City?
Yeah, that's where I was born, and that's where.
So
I'm
he would
still-
build a
He
fireplace.
would build a fireplace for
What
the
are your
grandkids to hang our stockings.
And how many people were in the house?
Well, now, my mother and father,
Uh-huh.
my 2 brothers and myself,
Mhm.
my grandfather,
Mhm.
my Aunt Gwen
Okay.
and her son, and another kid that my mother was raising.
Oh, mhm.
And Aunt Gwen's husband came home when he was out of school,
Uh-huh.
and Aunt Madeline came during holidays. The way we all slept, I don't know, but we were very close family.
Just like he built that fireplace, you built
Right.
someplace to stay. Dolly, tell us something about your childhood, or something in your early adulthood, something about you before you were 20.
Oh, before I was 20? I think, well, actually there are several things, but the most important thing during my childhood that I remember was the fact that I loved going to school. And this one particular day, my mom said to me that I could not go to school because she said, well, you're going to have to babysit with my little niece.
Mhm.
And I said, no, Mom, I cannot do that because I have to go to school. So she said, no, you're going to have to do it because I can't stay with her. So she said, you have to do it. But in the end, I went to school, and she decided to not go to work and keep the little one. That was the most precious thing to me because I just marveled in having this perfect record each time, never missing a day out of school, not for being sick, and I was the perfect straight A student, so I just loved school.
And you were calling the shots. You were
Exactly,
like,
exactly, and I won, yeah.
That's important.
Exactly.
Very important. About your professional life.
As far as my professional life, well, it's kind of, it starts out kind of shaky. I graduated, number 7 in my class, and
Oh,
from Wildwood, Florida,
okay.
John and Robert E. Lee High School. And I went to University of Miami for 2 years, and then at that particular time in 1965, my mother passed. So at that, and then I also had decided that I wanted to be a doctor. But once my mother passed, and that sort of like changed things. So after that, I decided to more or less like take a break, and then I came to DC, and I went to GW, University of Maryland, and I ended up graduating from University of Maryland as an accountant.
Oh.
So I'm an accountant, and I work with the United States Courts in Washington, D.C., which is under the Judiciary, which is ran by Rehnquist, and our director is Meekum, and I'm an accountant there for the Administrative Office of the United States Courts in Washington, D.C.
How long have you been there?
12 years with them, yes.
All right, Ellen, professional life.
Well, not much of a professional life. graduated from high school in 1945. Right after war, I got married right after the war. And I started having my 3 kids stair steps.
Okay.
13 to 14. So what I did was spent most of my time raising the kids. I worked, when my mother wasn't working, when her job was slow, she would watch my kids and I would go to work. And as they got older, I worked in the sewing factory.
Mhm.
My last job, which I retired from, was working for the supermarket in the meat room.
Okay.
And I did that for over 20 years.
Oh, goodness. Great. All right. In terms of your professional or your personal life, have you encountered any major obstacles, or have you made any achievements of which you're especially proud, or either personal or professional?
You wanna go first, Ellen?
Well, my personal life, what I'm most proud of, even though I didn't go any further than high school graduating, my 3 kids all went to college.
Where did they go? Which ones? were
Brenda
they?
went to Cheney State.
Okay.
Then she got her master's from Beaver.
Okay.
Gloria went to community college in Philly.
Mhm.
And then she went, I can't remember the college now, she got her other degree, is in Westchester, but I can't remember the
Mhm.
college right now. My son spent 26 years in the Navy and took correspondence course, and he got a college degree.
Mhm.
Now my oldest granddaughter, she went to the University of Pennsylvania, and she works in Atlanta,
Mhm.
and she's an accountant. Now, you know, a couple of years ago when they had the shooting in Atlanta,
Mhm.
the fellow, well, not shooting. Well, that happened to be in the same building that she was working.
Mhm.
Listen on the radio, on the TV. I knew she worked in Atlanta, but I didn't know Buckhead.
Right.
So it didn't ring a bell with me.
Mhm.
So I'm watching and listening on the TV and say, oh, how horrible. Had no idea that she was involved, and they made them stay upstairs and take cover until it was clear, and then she called her husband didn't know it because he was out working. Nobody, well, I guess that was a blessing. I guess I would have had a heart attack.
Mhm.
But, and then, next thing I know, it was on the TV, her picture, and all in the papers where she was consoling one of her co-workers. 2 different pictures.
Goodness.
So, and then my youngest granddaughter's 21. She's in her 3rd year of college. She did internship this summer at
Mhm.
MTV in New York.
Mhm.
And the other half of the twin, he went to school about 6 months of special school, and he's living in Baltimore.
Okay.
So I'm proud of what my kids have achieved.
Well, that's an achievement in itself.
Well, I think my greatest achievement is more or less at work, because in dealing with the United States courts, we have, it's a diverse area, but however, we have problems. I mean, of course, not saying all places have problems, and it's more or less like a discrimination thing.
Mhm.
And I think I was more or less the spearhead for that, as far as leading the whole group in reference to bringing out the issues and resolving the issues. So now I'm more or less like looked at as, oh, that's Dolly, don't touch Dolly, because she'll file a EEO complaint and she'll get the whole group to go together. But the bottom line is that we did resolve a whole lot of issues, because it was a whole lot of discrimination going on in reference to the accountants and the salary, the whole structure, wherein it shouldn't have been, because actually, as far as the salary goes, it should have been like even. Everybody should have been more or less like making the same amount of money. If you come in at entry level, you should have received like an entry level pay, but that was not the way they were doing it.
Mhm.
I mean, they would bring in white employees, and even, for example, just in my section where we were, it's like 12 accountants in my section. And they just recently, like 3 years ago, brought on a white employee, and they brought this one particular white employee in, making more money than any of us blacks that are already at the firm.
With experience.
Yes, exactly.
Mhm.
So we found out about it because we had our connection, so then we took them back on that. So they more or less, like, they did adjust that.
Mhm.
But they're in the process trying to do something else. So as I say, I'm known for the one that said, oh, wait, we have to do the right thing, because if we do not, Dolly will actually file a discrimination suit.
Dolly's still calling the shots. Okay. I can see you haven't changed much.
Yeah, exactly, exactly, but they respect me though.
Okay.
They really respect me.
Because you demanded it.
Exactly, yeah, they do.
All right, I'm going to ask you 3 more questions, and you might want to think about these, so I'll give them the 3 questions to you, and I'll ask you individually. One question is, first question is, what personal or spiritual values do you rely upon the most, and what is the source of those values? The second question is, using 3 words or 3 sentences, describe how you would want people to remember you. And the third question is, what is your personal motto or creed? Okay, the first question, what personal or spiritual values do you rely upon the most, and where did you get them
Well, me, I rely upon God.
from? Okay.
That's the first one as far as I'm concerned. I mean, that's the only one
Mhm.
for me. Because again, it goes back to, I guess, if we did not have God as a group in reference to the issues that we had brought against management, against the group that I work with, without God, we couldn't have done anything.
And how did you get reinforcement from this? How do you,
As-
why do you think this is a major factor in your life, such a major factor?
Because I think the reason that I think that is such a major factor in my life is because it's more or less like reaching out to help others, because I also saw wherein working with the group of accountants that I work with, and also in other areas as far as other blacks, I wouldn't exactly say they're weak, but it's things that they know that are going on, and things that are not right, or they're not treated, well, not fairly, but they're not treated right.
Mhm.
So therefore, they can, well, I can't say they cannot, but they just don't have the backbone to say, well, hey, look, this isn't right.
Mhm. And you get that strength.
Right, exactly, yeah, to do that for them.
Okay. I like that. Do you have your 3 words or your 3 sentences, or? So we'll go back and forth. 3 words or 3 sentences describing how you would want people to remember you.
Respectful, honest, and loving.
Okay. So fearless in there too, but I want
That's
personal motto. Personal motto.
my personal motto is be all you can be.
Okay. I like that. Evelyn. All right. What personal or spiritual values?
Well, I was brought up in the Methodist church, and I have faith. Then I think of what, I'm glad I had the faith, because to think what I have been through,
Mm-hmm.
I know there's a God somewhere, and I've been truly blessed.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I lost my husband 25 years ago. A year after he passed from cancer,
Mm-hmm.
discovered I had breast cancer.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a 24 year survivor.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, one of my members from the church is going through that. And she called on me, which I was honored to be her support group. Then my son, this spring, come home to see me and told me he had cancer. He was upset because he was a year older than what his father was when his father died.
Mm-hmm.
But thank God, everything is all right.
Same
He had his
kind of cancer?
operation, back to work, and he's doing good. So I know there is a higher power
That's
that's
true.
looking down
That's amazing.
and taking care.
Mm. 3 words or sentences. How do you want people to remember you?
Caring, thoughtful, and loving.
Okay. And your personal motto?
Be all that you can, but to yourself be true.
Thank you. Wonderful.
That's it.
Yes, thank you, Dolly Mel. All right, okay. This is Branch Family Reunion Interviews, July 28th, 2001, at Lake Rainier in Atlanta, Georgia. And we have, state your full name, please, and where you live.
Charles S. Johnson II, Jr., the second.
You live,
And
where do you live?
I am currently a resident of Dayton, Ohio, and I am the oldest of 4 children.
Okay, we'll get to that.
Born to Charles and Marie Johnson,
Okay.
who are descendants of Winifred Branch,
Okay.
period.
And Winifred Branch is
Winifred Branch is
related to?
probably the oldest of Julia Branch's children,
Okay.
and she died in 1920, the year before I was born.
Okay. And you are?
I'm Charles S. Johnson III.
Okay.
I live in Atlanta, Georgia.
And you are related to the Branch family?
I'm the son of Charles S. Johnson Jr.,
Okay.
who is the son of Charles S. Johnson Sr., who is the son of Winnie Branch, who is the daughter of Julia Branch.
All right. Speak up a little. All right. Do you have any siblings? Where are you with your siblings?
Yes, I had 3 siblings. One brother, Robert, who was 13 months and 13 days younger than I am, and he passed in 1966. One sister who is 28 years younger than that, 28 months younger than I am,
Okay.
who is present at this reunion. Her name is Patricia, and she is Patricia Clifford, who is also present along with her daughter and her other descendants at this reunion. My 3rd sibling is J. Vincent Johnson, who is 10 years younger than I am, who was born in 31, shortly after his father returned from that Liberia expedition. And those are my siblings, and James Johnson is also present at this reunion. Robert's widow is present only, and she had made several other reunions.
All right. Do you have any children?
Come to think of it, I do have 2 children.
And what are their names?
Oh, one of them is named after his father and grandfather. His name is Charles S. Johnson, and he is the 3rd with that name, and he's called Trey. He lives in Atlanta, and he is hosting this reunion along with other Atlanta residents who are members of the Branch family. I also have a daughter who is a school teacher in Bethune-Cookman, and her name is Winifred Johnson. I won't give her age, but she is 4.5 years younger than Charles is. And I have a sum total of 2 children.
Okay. And shall I call you Charles or shall I call you Trey?
You're in charge, so you call me whatever you like.
Right. Siblings?
I have one sister.
Thank you.
She is Winifred Marie, I'm sorry.
Just like hearing
She
your
is
name.
Dr. Winifred Marie Johnson, who is the coordinator of the Department of History at the Central Christian College. I'm not sure if she's coordinator or the
Just
Midwest.
been promoted, thank you.